Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and I want to thank the ranking member as well for this really important hearing, and I want to thank all the panelists. We go through a lot of hearings. You all are really outstanding witnesses, and I appreciate it. I want to start with you, Mr. Morell. You said in your testimony that, in your experience, quote, even if it was only vaguely clear that the Russians might be paying bounties to Taliban associated militants for killing American soldiers, that information would have made its way to the highest levels of the US government, including the president, before the analysts concluded their work. Would you tell us why information like this would have been run up the chain so quickly, even if it was only vaguely clear?
Because of its significance, sir. We're talking about bounties on the heads of American soldiers, and the significant strategic step forward that would suggest for Putin's activities against us.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I worked with a number of national security advisors in my time. I don't think a single one of them would not have told the president this information when the national security advisor first heard it, when they first read the raw intelligence.
And regardless of politics, obviously, this is we're all patriots, right? I mean, it's just about our country's interest
Yes, sir.
and protecting our. Okay, so Secretary of Defense Esper is actually testifying before another committee right now, and I understand that he said, and I'm quoting, "To the best of my recollection, I have not received a briefing that included the word bounty." End quote. He then said that he was briefed on intelligence reports that Russia made, quote, payments, end quote, to militants. If this happened during your tenure, is there any chance that this wouldn't have been brought to the Secretary of Defense's attention? And what would the Secretary likely have done knowing this, that payments were made in this way to militants to attack our soldiers?
Two thoughts, sir. One is the Secretary of Defense is a recipient of the PDB. So if it was in the PDB, the Secretary of Defense should have read it or should have been briefed on it. Second is the Secretary of Defense has, of all the cabinet members, the most interest here in making sure that this is run to ground, in making sure that his soldiers are, his or her soldiers are well cared for and protected. So I think they would speak the loudest for something to be done here.
Thank you. General Nicholson, I want to ask you a question, sir, about and I don't mean to be naive, but I really don't know. You've led our troops in at every level and our coalition partners. Uh, when news like this happens, do our troops find out about it? That this idea that there may have been bounties on them, and that the president isn't doing anything about it? I mean, do they hear about this?
Thank you, sir, for asking. Information that has to do with what we would call force protection, extremely important, comes right to the top of the list. Be it because casualties, friendly casualties, be they coalition or American, are going to affect the political will to sustain the efforts. There's a military reason you do that, and then of course there's the moral obligation you have to all of the members of your team to protect them. So this is critically important. I think our service members understand that their chain of command, I mean, starting with their leaders on the ground, are committed to their protection. And to be honest, studies of military units and all that, it's usually your nuclear group that's the most important and your immediate. And I think
Right.
there'll be no question in the minds of those service members that their immediate group and their leadership, General Miller in Afghanistan, are going to be doing everything they can to ensure they're protected.
Everything they can, and then if they have a question of if it seems in publicly available information that the way up the chain that someone may not be looking out for them, I mean, I just worry about the morale of our troops and their, I it just concerns me. Again, not to do with politics, but just, I mean, they're out there defending our country, for God's sakes.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more, sir, in terms of our internal strength and cohesion is one of our greatest sources of strength and effectiveness on the battlefield, and the unwavering commitment and all of the members. I know all of you have been enormous supporters of our troops in the field. We deeply appreciate that. So sure, it does cause some head scratching from time to time when you see things like this.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Levin.
And thanks for your service. Thank you. I yield, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Congressman Levin. And